SureDog.com and the On the Mic podcast. And I'm not even just hyping it because he's right here. I'm not hyping it because he's a former world title challenger. He's one of the best fighters in the world. But without this man, I would still not be in MMA. I probably would have found the way out of MMA. But when I look at the sport of MMA, I look at genuine fighters, genuine people, and highly skilled fighters. And this man is all of that and more. And he's a main event fighter, Wichita, Kansas, for the PFL. His first fight with the PFL. Let me shut up. The one and only Kevin Lee. How are you, sir?
Woo, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great, especially after an introduction like that. I feel good.
Well, man, I have, as I just told you off air, I've long been a fan of you as a fighter and as a person, and just your career journey. The first easy question I have is, how did you not give up on this sport and yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I say that thought didn't cross my mind a few times. Especially after taking my last fight in the UFC with a knee that was torn to shreds, knowing that going into the fight, and then having to get another surgery. Which, if you've ever had those knee surgeries, they hurt. It's painful. It's demoralizing not being able to walk around. But over time, as I got better, as I healed, I just love this sport. I've tried my best to get away from it, and every time it's like an old girlfriend that just keeps dragging me back. It's not about the promotion. It's not about what people say. It's not about the fans. It's not about none of that. It's about the sport itself and the mano y mano. This is the biggest test that a man can put himself through, I think, and it's where you really find out who you really are and what you really about. A lot of people talk the talk, but once you get punched in the face, like that is shit don't get no realer than that.
Especially if you get punched after a headbutt. I'm speaking from experience. Well, let me ask you this as well. Obviously, you continue to literally put up a fight personally and professionally, and then you have your very successful brother who stepped away from fighting, found his own success. When you talk to fighters who go through adversity or go through injuries, they say, my time away from the sport either made me fall in love with the sport or made me realize a few things. When you look at not only yourself, but how your brother was able to take being a fighter and elevate into a whole different lifestyle now, were you kind of pulling inspiration? Not that you're not motivated, but pulling inspiration to go, yeah, maybe I'm on the sidelines right now, but I can still have a happy life and a happy career.
Oh yeah, that thought never escaped me. I always knew that. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to be successful in one way or another. Like I still feel that even now. Regardless of what happens to this fight, this is a fight. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to prepare my best. I'm going to do my best. I'm gonna go out there and really put my life and my soul and my spirit and everything on the line and show that for the world. But regardless of that, like I'm going to be successful at something. My brother, like you said, it's a massive inspiration to see him step away from the sport and get bigger and bigger as just being himself. And I think as long as you don't lose that, then the sky's the limit. That he still keeps that same hard work and that same work ethic. And I think those are the things that this sport teach you that can go into any realm, into any facet. But I love this sport. I just do. I don't know why I do the way I do, but they say you can't help who you love. And I do. I'm going to be around this sport for a very, very, very long time, whether that's in the cage like I am right now or if it's behind the scenes, because I also understand the other levels to the sport as I've become a veteran and I've started to really pick apart the different aspects of this sport, whether it be media and marketing or whether it's the promotion game itself. I see a lot of people making a lot of mistakes that I think are pretty stupid, and they could do a little bit better at. And I think one of my main things is just to continue to build the sport. My son might want to get involved in this one day. I'm gonna tell him not to, but if he's got the same crazy mind that I do, he might. And Kevin Lee 2.0 might be something totally different. And I want to make sure that avenue is there for him. And this sport doesn't plateau as we've seen over the last couple of months. There needs to be like another big boom. There needs to be another big explosion. There needs to be a little bit more excitement getting back involved. And I think one way or another, I'm gonna be a part of that.
Yeah, I think that explosion and that boom comes with you signing with the PFL. And I heard a interview this week or recently about a former promotion because it never got off the ground. And we're not going to sit here and talk about it because I don't want to be negative. I haven't talked to you in years. You make this massive signing with the PFL. And when you talk about taking the sport to another level, I understand this is your first fight in the PFL, but I also understand that I've been covering the PFL pretty hard in depth over the last 2 years. And MMA fan, I don't have to tell you, MMA fans hate change. But
Mhm.
the PFL continues to adapt, they continue to change. And on
Mhm.
the even heels of signing you, they've
Mhm.
announced major kind of changes to their system. Number one, all their international fights are now on the PFL app. It's a beautiful app. No
Mhm.
other promotion has an app like that. And it's not all about the app, but you have a world tournament, easier for the fighters, single
Yep.
elimination. Everything's laid out. You know when you're fighting and who you're fighting. Then you look at Don Davis told Sherdog, told me, hey, $25 tickets for at least 500 tickets every event.
Yep.
And all shows are going to be on the road around the world. So they're bringing it to new and old fan bases of MMA. They're making it affordable and now they're making it accessible. And I know that may not mean everything to the fighter, but
Mhm.
when I look at how they're starting to listen, which I think is the big thing for an
Mhm.
MMA promotion to listen to their fan base, to listen to their fighters, how key is that for the future of this company?
Yeah, I think that's a really one of the big things as far as a fighter. The biggest thing that I saw with their change was that single elimination. They got rid of that whole point system, which is just totally confusing. It's confusing to the fighters, it's confusing to the fans. And I do think I got to give them props for doing that because it's easier to say, okay, this is what we're doing and we sticking with it. We're not going at all. But you see, they're listening to everybody. You taught me something new with I didn't know that they were going on the road now, which I love. I think one of the things that's holding the UFC back is building an apex and just staying in it. And I even talked about that before my last fight at the apex. I think one of the things you love about this sport is the way it riles people up and it gets people involved. That everybody can understand two guys punching themselves in the face. You got to show that to more people. You got to make the live event the event. The UFC. That's how they got there, and people don't necessarily understand that. But one thing that Dana, who is probably our best promoter in our lifetime, one thing that he really stood on in the early days is once you go to a UFC event, you're going to want to keep coming back again and again and again because the live event was just so magnificent. It was so like different from anything else that you experienced. I think a lot of promoters, I don't know what they think. I don't know if they're not paying attention to that. I don't know if they I really couldn't put my finger on it, but I'm glad to see the PFL is taking that step in that direction. And I love going on the road. This is going to be a fight in Kansas, America versus Russia. I'm going against a whole team of Russians, a whole team of top killers. They've got all of the lightweight championships right now. Back when Bellator was still Bellator, PFL, they got the UFC champion, they got the legend Khabib that's kind of running the whole thing. So I'm not taking this guy lightly at all. I think this is going to be a massive test. I think he's a really good, really explosive uh, guy, and my experience, my strength, my power, my technique on the ground, especially, is going to wear him down over time.
I definitely want to dive into that a little bit more. But one other thing I wanted to hit on with the PFL is one thing that I personally, just me personally, love that they're doing this year. They brought in Jonathan Coachman to do more, to almost be their voice while the businessmen are the businessmen. And Jonathan Coachman has said several times, we're going to tell the stories of the fighters correctly so that
Yep.
fans buy in. And I think, and I'm not, kissing ass here, I think you are going to be perfect for Jonathan Coachman and the PFL to tell a story of because what people can't say, and I'll
Yep.
stand on this hill, they can't say, oh, Kevin Lee, former UFC fighter, right? Former
Mhm.
world title challenger, a man who has competed at the highest level of all promotions. And given your age and given all the adversity you face and overcome, this is just another chapter. They weren't digging through the recycling bin and found you, right? This is a new chapter. And I think PFL could be the best platform to tell this next chapter in your career.
Yeah, I mean, once all the cards line up right and correctly after this fight, I think you're going to see some massive changes not only in the organization but in the sport as a whole. Uh, yeah, I like a lot of things that they're doing on the promotion side. So we're going to see. Right now, my job is to go out there and still prove that I'm one of the top lightweights. People have written me off. People have forgotten about me, and I don't necessarily blame them. It's been 5 years since I fought at lightweight against Charles Oliveira. And that was at the start of the pandemic. For some people, the pandemic was like a lifetime ago. So I don't necessarily blame them, but I'm here to remind them again that I'm still one of the top lightweights. And they've done a great job. If they could tell the stories of the fighters right, the promotion is going to continue to boom up. And not to, like you said, we don't necessarily want to bring up negativity, but one of the key factors that I knew GFL was going to fall apart. I had dinner with the president, and he told me that Chael Sonnen was interested in getting involved, but Chael was too expensive. And as soon as he said that, then I realized, okay, you don't really understand this part of the game. You don't understand what we're getting into. And I talked to Chael about this too. You bring a guy like Chael Sonnen in. You bring a guy who's able to tell the stories. You don't just spring out a bunch of money for a fighter to give you one fight a year, two fights a year, maybe. Some of these guys were pretty old that they were signing as well. They had some young talent like me, but then they had some older guys too who they would spend the money on. But you don't spend the money on the guy who's going to make you 100 fights. He's not just going to give you 2 fights. He's going to make you 100 fights. He's going to be able to tell the stories in the correct way, and that's really what draws people to fighting. It's not just two men going out there and punching themselves. You can see that at any bar on a Saturday or a Friday night if you stay around long enough. What really draws them in is everything behind it, and the UFC has done a great job at that, and I think PFL will continue to get there.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think you're a prime example of what they're trying to do and what they will do moving forward. Before we talk about the matchup against Gadzhi, very simple question. What is your biggest goal with the PFL?
To prove that I'm still one of the top lightweights. I'm getting that chance and I'm getting that shot right out the gate, which I love. I love just jumping in the fire and just jumping in the deep end and seeing the swim. Uh, so yeah, that's my biggest goal, is to prove that I'm one of the biggest lightweights. I'm not worried about the $500,000. I'm not worried about the tournament finals. I'm not worried about any of that. It's to prove that I'm still one of the biggest lightweights. I got a great opportunity in front of me to do that, and then I'll continue to do that with any challenger that comes after that.
Well, I think PFL recognizes it. That's why you're one half of the main event. You're atop the marquee. You're the reason the ticket sales in Wichita, Kansas will go up on June 20th when you take on Gadzhi Rabadanov. You mentioned him and his team. And instead of just talking about him, when I ask you about your goal and then I follow up with this question, is
Yep.
this not the perfect challenge for you? Because
Yep.
it is against elite competition and you're ready to show the world just how good you still are.
Yeah, exactly. And against that team specifically, I think everybody will be in the building, so they'll be able to see and witness it firsthand. I've called out that team for a long time because they do have a lot of top guys. They got a lot of, like I said, they got every lightweight champion right now in the world. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove that I'm one of them, if not better than all of them, once I go out there and smoke one of their guys.
Kevin, I know you're married to the sport, you're married to the game, you're very talented at what you do. My last
Also
question
married to my wife.
is yes, yes, and your wife.
Pick that
But
up.
my last question is when you just reflect on everything, what's been the biggest thing you've learned through the trials and tribulations, of the last 5, 6, 7 years about yourself?
That I am extremely resilient. I'm resilient. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. Even when it looks like I may have given up, I'm still going to go. I'm still going to go. I think that's one of the biggest keys to my whole life since I was 15, 16 years old is I'm just going to be in your face. I'm just able to I've got that extra gear where I'm able to push and keep pushing where other people won't. I also have a bit of fearlessness in me. You know, I'm obviously I have fear. I'm scared of it, but I'm not afraid of those moments where I feel that fear and I fear those nerves. And this guy, he does bring that out of me. If anything, I think I relish in those moments. I think I step up to those challenges, and those is when you really see the best me come out. When I go against somebody who I don't necessarily feel like is a challenge right out the gate, I'll almost drop my level to their level. But this guy, I think I have to increase my level. I've got to increase my discipline. I've got to stay extremely focused, and it's going to show the best me.
Kevin, I could tell you, for over a week since this has been booked, I've been elated to have the chance to talk to you again. And because one, it's been way too long, and two, not that I'm the greatest storyteller in the world, but I feel like I've always been able to have great conversations with you and let you tell your story. And
Hmm.
when the people who will watch this or read about this on SureDog.com, they'll understand a fighter going through adversity, whether it be personal or professionally. And I think your story gets not only fighters off the couch, but can get the normal person like myself off the couch and motivated. So I'm so happy you're back. I'm so happy you're with the PFL. I'm so happy I'll be in Wichita, Kansas on June 20th for this
Yes,
fight.
sir.
Man, welcome back. Welcome to the PFL. And I can't wait to see what you do.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We're going to make some fireworks.
I can't wait. Kevin Lee, thank you.
Thanks, bro.